Don't fall. Don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall, don't. So now that I have your attention, let's shuffle some history. On the 12th of March, 1873, the king of Elmina and five of his chiefs walked into the Elmina castle, but only three of them came out. The man at the center of this picture, Kwabena Jan, is one of the few Fanta leaders who resisted the secession of the independence of the locals of Gold Coast to the colonial government. What's admirable about Kwabena Jan's ascension to the throne of Elmina is that it put him in the middle of two superpowers, the Dutch and the British. It also cast him as a problem because he opposed the transfer of the Elmina castle from the Dutch to the British. Kwabena Jan knew that if the castle moved from the Dutch to the British, the Elmina people will continue to lose their autonomy to whichever colonial power held the castle. See, what's shady about all of this is Kwabena Jan had agreed with all his people that they were going to resist the British occupation of the Elmina castle. But unknown to him, some of his people went behind his back and accepted the British authority over them. And while I have your attention, I would want to introduce you to the Usurper's Dream. If you'd want to read more about African mythology, if you want to read more about West African folklore, and especially if you want to read about the history of the Asante Empire in a fictionalized form, I would recommend the Usurper's Dream for you. There is a number floating somewhere on your screen, and there's a link in my bio that will take you to Amazon if you're not in Ghana. On the 12th of March, 1873, the king of Elmina and five of his leaders are summoned to the Elmina castle. This meeting is under the pretext of the British coming to a consensus with the Elmina leaders to resolve this issue. But the joke is on Kwabena Jan, as the British have an ace up their sleeve. They are well aware of the friction between Kwabena Jan and his leaders, and they try to force them to take an oath of allegiance to the British. Three of his chiefs acquiesced to this deal, but Kwabena Jan and two others refused this. How the British deals with opposing forces during the colonial era is usually to exile them from the Gold Coast. Right after Kwabena Jan refuses to take this oath of allegiance, he and his two other chiefs are exiled to the Seychelles Island. So I have this book, The Usurper's Dream. It weaves the folklore and mythology of West Africa to tell the story of Osei Tutu and Okomfo Anokye and how these two created a kingdom that was able to resist British occupation.